Okay, I might get started, and if other people join, I can catch them up. So, what we wanted to just cover off today is give you an overview of the national network map, which we are releasing next week on the 20th of December. And the national map, the purpose of the national map is to bring together all of the different jurisdictional maps that are held currently on each individual jurisdiction's website. So Transport for New South Wales, the Globe in Queensland, RavNet in South Australia, the Victoria Vic Roads website, and also the ACT Roads website. And so we are bringing across all of the maps from each of those websites, except in Queensland, we're only bringing across gazetted maps. So but apart from that, everything else will be included within the national network map as of next Wednesday. So what I wanted to do in this session was demonstrate the map to you, and we can look at some specific OSOM maps, and also I just wanted to show you the overall functionality. I want to show you how you access it, how you can provide feedback, that sort of thing. We are very much conscious that this is, it's been a long time coming, and two, it's not a one and done. So we're definitely thinking that this is kind of the first stage of mapping, and we will look to build some more improvements in there based upon feedback after industry starts to use it in earnest. So I'm going to share my screen. I just wanted to, so you should just see a Google web page there. I just wanted to kind of give a little bit of clarity around where we're at from a project perspective. So we are, the maps that we're going to look at have all been brought in from each of the jurisdictional websites. What we've been looking to do is build tools where those maps will be kept up to date all through NHVR tools, and those are going to be self-service tools that are going to be sent out to each of the local governments and jurisdictions. So instead of at the moment where there's a bit of a big brother, little brother situation going on with local governments and jurisdictions, everyone will have access to the same tools. They'll be able to make any changes to the networks, which will include increasing access, or adding conditions, for example, if a new bridge is, or if a bridge assessment is done, or that type of thing. They'll all be possible using the tools, and then the workflow within the system will ensure that anything is represented on the map it happens effectively, instantaneously. If it is new, if it's more access, then it's an automatic addition following approval. If it is a restriction in access, then obviously for the HVNL requires us to have a 28-day notice period of that, and the system will manage that. So I'm just going to click into the map itself. So you can access the map either logged into the portal or just via this URL, which will have been sent out in any number of communications I'm sure you've received. Within that, when you first get to the map, you will note that there's a terms and conditions page. Now, this is very similar to each of the jurisdictions, and it just basically it lists the terms in which the data within the maps can be used. Upon accepting that, we get to this kind of homepage of the national network map itself. So within this, before I actually click into any of the map and look at any of the particular maps, I just want to make some references to what's on this homepage. So in the top right-hand corner, there's always a search function. So this will allow you to search via street and suburb. In the bottom corner, this is where we hold all of our layers. So if I just click onto that, you'll see this is where disruption data will be held, points of interest, any boundaries, or certain specific network overlays that we have for New South Wales around 4.6 metre height restrictions. There's a place here just to give feedback, and at the moment that will be an email directly to our team, where if there's something that you see that doesn't look right, we are very much looking for feedback. We're trying to keep these as up to date as we possibly can, but we know that things happen. So if there is something that you see that you think that doesn't look right, please provide that feedback to us. And then on the left of the screen, there is always this is where the main tools of the map are held. So I'm going to click into this top one here, which is it's the sort of main burger menu of finding particular network maps and where those are held. So there are 3 categories that we've grouped according to kind of make it easier to find information. So the first is vehicle categories, and this might be quite easy for you to click on OSOM directly from here rather than looking through individual jurisdictional websites. The second is access instruments. So if you happen to know which access instrument has granted authority for a particular network, then we can click via that, and it just gives us the the national notice, for example, for B double that's held under here, and you'll see within each of these we've associated the vehicles that are related to a particular notice. And then the last one is networks, and this is the view that you probably are most comfortable seeing in terms of each of the jurisdictional websites. So what we've done is replicate what you would see on those websites. So for example, if you clicked into South Australia, they start with the GML, then they have HML, then they have OSOM, PBS, commodity routes. So this is the same setup as what you would be used to seeing on the South Australian website, as an example. So these all behind each of these is effectively a mapping that says, okay, from the vehicle categories, for example, we will map for a particular vehicle what networks are associated with that. And there's over 1,000 vehicle types that we've included within the map so far. Within the what that also means is that we're kind of taking a lot of that guesswork out of the equation. Sorry, my son just handed me a note and terrified me. Yeah, so we've taken a lot of stuff out of the equation in terms of guesswork. So we're making sure that it is easy for you to see which networks comply with a particular vehicle type. So if I click into and show you some of the things with the maps, I'm not going to go into OSOM just yet because, as I'm sure most of you are aware, the OSOM maps are not national, so they are very state specific, and I want to kind of show you I guess what will look like from a national perspective first, and then we'll go look at the OSOM maps individually. So if I click into the B double, there is two national networks that are very prominently used within B double, the 23 and the 26 meter. Now, within the actual networks themselves, you'll see underneath each of these, there are some further sort of definitions. So this first one, 90 meter up to 90 meter in length, over 50.5 tons, is only for New South Wales. So that means that particular configuration and network is only used in New South Wales. And what we're really using this, I'm finding with this, is it highlights the fact that we don't have a lot of truly national networks, and that's one of the things that we will be hoping to start discussions with each of the jurisdictions over the coming months, especially in your space. There are so many that could theoretically comply over multiple states, but they don't because they've got a slightly different classification. So we are looking to use this, bringing all of this data together so that we can kind of standardize that as much as we possibly can. So if you do have any questions, by the way, please ask as we go. But I'm just going to keep on talking until that time. So the first map I'll show you is the B double up to 26 meters in length. And the reason that I picked this one is because it is a map that covers 4 of our jurisdictions. So the ACT, which is just down in here, obviously New South Wales, it covers South Australia, and it covers Victoria. It does not cover Queensland, and that's largely because, as I was saying, there's a slight difference in the way that Queensland refers to all of its mapping for B doubles up to 26 meters, and that is that they don't allow quad axle groups. So those type of conversations we're very much looking to have in terms of that standardization. In the map itself, you'll see, and this will be the same, and I'll go through a couple of OSOM maps in a second, but you'll see that there'll be a bit of, I guess, high-level information relating to that particular network, and then underneath that there'll be which networks are included for each jurisdictional area. There's also a note of which notice is gives authority for that particular for this particular network, and the operator's guide. And these are kept against each of the networks to kind of take a lot of that guesswork in terms of if you need to go and look at the notice. All of that information will now be readily available. We also want to make notice of when a particular notice expires, because this map is used from lots and lots of different stakeholder groups. So it's also used internally within the NHVR by our access policy team. So this will help them to identify which which networks they need to be looking at in terms of either any form of renegotiation or whether or not we're going to let a network expire. So within the map, within the sidebar, there's quite a lot of I guess reasonably useful information, but it may not be that you want to have this up all the time. If we're kind of scrolling into the map itself, this does take quite a lot of real estate on that screen. So we are conscious that at all points you may not want to see everything in this sidebar, so you can just collapse it using that little icon there, or expand it back out again if you need to. So this little icon here allows us to do that at any time and kind of maximize the real estate for the map itself. And then the map is, and this is true of all of the maps that we have in the national network map. There is a number of we've done quite a lot of standardization across multiple states around the approach we're taking to how to demonstrate particular roads. So, for example, you'll see lots of different colors here. We've taken a like for like approach with our jurisdiction. So if the jurisdiction has a traffic light system, which is what our end goal is, then that will be included here. So for example, that's something that Victoria do. So you'll see that anything that's a green road for a 26-meter B double has complete approval. Anything that's an amber road has a condition associated with it. So there's a number up here in Mildura, and then any that are red are completely restricted for that particular vehicle. That's the same approach that's also used in ACT and to a large extent through Queensland and New South Wales as well. Queensland and New South Wales have a slightly have another I guess dimension to that, in that they have these shaded areas. So the shaded areas adds a bit more clarity around particular, so all of these roads, for example, in this particular shaded area for this vehicle type are approved because they're all included within this green shaded area. And then all of the roads within the amber shaded area for New South Wales have a condition associated with them. And over the coming months, we'll be working with them to bring that data down to the segment level so that you'll be able to see this on the roads itself, as we have through Victoria. And largely, we've started to do that through New South Wales as well. South Australia have a slightly different approach in that everything that is included on a South Australian network in RavNet is just listed in one colour. So we've created that too here. And then they have points on the road to reflect any particular conditions or restrictions. Now, over the coming months, we will be working with South Australia to kind of change from that approach. So their approach was largely due to the functionality of their existing system. So we want to move away from that and move towards that kind of traffic light approach with them, so that it's really clear and the same across multiple states. I'm just going to expand this out a little so I can show you some of the conditions. All of the data that's held within the map is able to be seen when at any particular time. So you can scroll into the map itself, and I'm going to go into this Mildura area just because it does have all three different types of roads, so completely approved, conditional and restricted in quite a small space. So you'll see everything within Mildura Town Centre itself is approved for a 26-metre B double, and then on the outskirts of the council area, there's a number of both restricted and conditional roads. And so if I zoom into the map, the tools to allow you to select things are just here in this little side drawer. Just forgotten completely what I was about to say. And so what you can do when you zoom into the map, they will start to illuminate. So they're completely grayed out right now, but when we get to a level where it is possible to click at, we can click on anywhere within the map, and you'll see for this segment, for example, it is approved with the condition of it has to be dry weather. So 26 meter can drive on here at any point as long as it's dry. On this one, for example, though, it will be restricted for the 26 meter regardless of weather or any other condition. So the information that's included within these is available on to be seen within the map itself. And similarly, we can actually look at, instead of clicking one, we can look at drawing a polygon round, and you'd see a number of different segments coming up. So you'll see all of these are approved with particular conditions. We can click on this little arrow and we can see what the condition is, and then it takes us back to look through each of them to see what the condition or restriction might be. And they are grouped according to their to the road that they are on. So you'll see each of these is grouped according to the particular road. So it kind of means you can look at a few at one time, or you can look at one particular segment individually to see what those conditions and restrictions are. Within the tool as well, before I look at some of the OSOM maps, I just want to show a few other quick things that we've built into the tool. So in the top right-hand corner, once we're in a particular map, you'll see these icons start to appear. So this first one is reflective of the fact that we know that the map, as I've said, is used by multiple different individuals. So we may have you may have a scheduler who's kind of looking at a particular network and wants to share that network with particular drivers, and they want them to see exactly the same view as what they were looking at on the screen. So this view here will allow you to share exactly what you can see on a particular screen, including whether like a zoom level. So anything, any zoom, any layers that you've applied to the particular network. So I'm going to show you a couple of those now. This first one, I'm just going to zoom out of the Mildura area, and just because I saved this morning, so I can show you one that we do just for you. I'm going to zoom over. So we'll look at the Swan Hill area. So I'm going to save this again. What will come up once you've saved this view is the particular network and your zoom level. And at the moment, I have no layers. I've not applied any layers to this map. So I click on this little button here, and it just allows me to copy a URL. That URL is dynamically created and completely unique to what it is that you're doing right now. So if you forward that to one of your colleagues, upon receiving it, they'll be asked to accept the same terms and conditions as you would to enter the map, but they'll receive exactly that same view as you were looking at. So we're in that Swan Hill area. None of the layers have been applied, but it's for that particular network, the B-double network. If I did apply a couple of layers to this, so I might zoom out a little bit and apply some layers. I'm just zooming out so you can see the layers in practice. If I apply some layers around some disruption layers, for example, I might put on fire, might put flooding, and maybe emergency, and you'll see that a number of these little lines and dots have appeared on the map. We are putting more stylized iconography into this. So fire will have a fire, flood will look like water, emergency is like a emergency sign, and so they will be updated potentially by Wednesday. We're hoping to get those on the map, but obviously the data is the most important thing. But we want to obviously reflect what each of these little dots actually relates to. So if I save this now, it will take into account as a much bigger zoom level. It will still show me the same network, but it will also now include those layers that I've just applied. So again, I'm just going to send that to my colleague. Actually, I just did that twice. So that's not going to work. So send that to my colleague, and upon doing that, they'll see exactly the same in terms of what you were looking at. So the layers will be applied, and so you'll see those layers have just come up now, and obviously we're at a much higher zoom level than we were earlier when we looked at just Swan Hill. Similarly, if you're very keen, if you're consciously or continuously looking at similar areas of the map, or you're looking at a particular network at any one time, this little button here allows you to save that view. And again, that when you save the view, it saves everything that you've included within that view. So if I save this particular view, and I'm going to be zoomed out Swan Hill with layers, you can do, I mean, you can call them whatever you want, up to 50 characters. I will with layers. Yeah, and you can save up to 200 different views. So I'll show you where we can see those after when I go back to the main home screen. The other thing that you could do within here is if you're always in a particular network, you can choose to favorite that network. So at the moment I have the B double 26 meter favorited, but I can unfavorite it. And what that does, the difference between favorited and saved is favorite is just the vanilla network. Saved is obviously your particular zoom level and any layers that you've applied to that. So favorite would just be, I go into all the time, but I need to do different things with it. Whereas saved, you would do it for a particular a view that you might look at quite often. So in terms of the map itself, those are the key things I wanted to show you for it. So I'm going to go into some of the OSOM maps, and we can just look at a couple of those. Similar, exactly the same as what I've talked about would apply. I might just take those layers off for the minute. And so OSOM, as I mentioned, one of the issues that we have with this is that there are that all of the OSOM maps are state specific. So we can see these ones are pre-approval rather than a gazetted network, and it's obviously only Victoria. As we scroll down, there's a few, there's some more at the, for New South Wales, and then there are the South Australian ones, and New South Wales are down the bottom from memory. And so if you wanted to, given that there are so many, the filters are probably very useful. So here, sorry. Here, we can either, these are dynamic filters. So you'll see Queensland is not here. It's because we don't have any Queensland OSOM maps being included. Queensland have only agreed to bring across gazetted maps. And so if I decided I wanted to only look at New South Wales, for example, and applied that filter, all of the other ones would disappear. If I wanted to use, look at only, I guess, 5 meters in width, anything above or from 4 to, I don't know, 5.5 meters, then everything else would be reduced. And it just allows you to think about what to find the particular networks that you specifically are looking for. You can use these different filters, toggle back and forward, or reset them all at any particular time, and that will bring back the vanilla list to that. So the information that's stored within the network, though, is exactly the same as what I've covered for the B double. So in the same way as we were seeing there within this, there'll be the little amber segments, the little red segments are all included within the map itself. And you're able to click on those and see what those particular conditions are, or what the particular restrictions are. Again, with this one, because it is pre-approval, won't have the Gazette notice, but it will include the operator's guide. And in the same way, exactly the same functionality applies in terms of being able to save a view or send information to any of your colleagues, and again, it can be favorited. So I'll just favorite that one. And if we applied any particular layers, as I mentioned, favorites wouldn't store those, but the saved view would. The other things on the map, I mentioned that you can obviously always see those saved views, and when you come back to the main map, that the sort of first screen, those are stored in this left-hand column. So in this first one here, this is what I saved. So we mentioned this. I mentioned this was zoomed out. That's what I saved it. Zoomed out Swan Hill with layers. If I click on that, it will bring me exactly to what we were looking at in terms of that same zoom level. With those layers applied. If I looked at this one here, this was one I did earlier, zoomed in Mildura, and you'll notice those layers have automatically turned off because that saved view did not have those layers applied. And then favorited, I've just favorited that the earlier Victorian network, and again it will bring me up and zoom me to that particular spot, but it will not have any layers or any other additional information stored against it. Just before I open up for questions, the other thing that we've been very conscious of is that there are a lot of maps within Australia, and so there are, and as we roll these out to our local governments and our jurisdictions, we're very conscious that changes to maps are potentially going to happen quite frequently. And so we want to make sure that we have the ability to keep everyone up to date with what those changes are. So at the moment, within the national map, we are storing those within this little icon here, which looks like a road with a pencil on the top. And these are all of the network updates that have happened. So these are public notices of amendment. Any time that a public notice of amendment occurs, it will be populated within this table, which will outline. You can click on any of them and see what the notice, what the amendment related to. We have left this pretty vanilla at this point. So basically any update on any network will go into this table. And if you subscribe to it, then it will, you'll be informed of all changes. And that's one of the things we're really keen to get some feedback on in terms of what type of things, how would you like to slice and dice that subscription. So is it something you want to be state specific? Is it something you want to be vehicle categorized? Vehicle category specific? Is it what sort of how do you want to see that, or do you want to see all potential changes? And similarly, we're given that up till now everything has happened through paper, and it depends on the capabilities and resource capabilities of both our local governments and our jurisdictional teams. We know that some changes can take a long time to come through, whereas when we roll out the system to all of our local governments, it's a lot. We're very much seeing that it's a much more streamlined process. So we're not really aware of how many changes will actually end up happening. We think there'll be a flurry to begin with, and then potentially it should stabilize. So at the moment, we're thinking we're going to send them out either fortnightly or monthly. But again, if that's something that you think it would be useful to see that, any changes that happened last week, then, that type of feedback would be great for us to have. Other than that, that was largely what I wanted to show you today. If there are any particular questions that you have, sorry, the last thing I just wanted to mention was this is not routable at this time. So what we have done is pulled all of the information that's included within the networks here and brought into our next generation route planner, which is obviously routable. The intention is to pull and amalgamate those two together so that effectively the national map will be routable and the route planner will be retired. And so we are that will happen the first half of next year. Similarly, it is everything that you see on the screen will resize for mobile. So it is mobile friendly. It's not a full mobile app. And the reason for that is largely around the real estate and what it is that we show on the app and the interactions. So we've got a bit more work to do there with regards to the app. And it also relates to the fact that it's not currently routable. So one of the things we're very conscious of is that drivers are really keen to get a mobile-friendly app that can give turn-by-turn instructions. The intention is to, once we have this routable, is to enable that, but also to look at actually intelligently routing. So if, for example, you were to put in waypoints for a particular route and it included sections that could be snapped to a network, then we would look to be doing that. And so kind of giving suggestions of a route based upon network capacity is definitely one of the things that we're looking to do, and then the next stage following that is investigation of the full mobile app. So yeah, it's not everything you see you can see on the mobile, and it does resize for mobile, and it even down to that conditions and restrictions, you can see all of those. It looks slightly different in that the mobile scrolls up and down rather than left to right. So this whole section here is down at the bottom so that we maximize as much space as possible for the map. But the same thing applies in terms of, I'll just click and show you one. So on the mobile, it is completely possible again to use this the collapse and both the collapse and expand function. It works exactly the same in mobiles as it does on a laptop or computer. So lots of information. Are there any questions at all?
No, Joe, that looks great.
Awesome. That's fine. I think we wanted to try and we know that sometimes, especially given that it's not necessarily, the OSOM networks aren't necessarily national, we're conscious that sometimes you guys feel a little bit left out. So we wanted to try and make sure that we gave as much opportunity as possible to, come and see what we're looking at doing. And whilst we can, the other thing, sorry, that I should probably have mentioned is you can open, as you've noticed here, you can open as many instances of this as you wish. So whilst we are very much looking at being able to add multiple networks to a map at one time. So if you wanted to, let me just filter on Vic and SA as an example, and I might just go with somewhere around 30 meters. So if you wanted to look at reasonably consistent, or look and try and add two that might be quite consistent. So let me see, are these two reasonably consistent? Okay, these two potentially, I haven't read them in the, well, so this is up to 4.6 and up to 5. But if you wanted to see and add both states at one time, we are looking to try and to build that in. So adding multiple networks, because obviously they don't conflict with each other because they are completely distinct in terms of each state. So we will look at that functionality. It would be great if we could get some, so if you think that would be useful, to be able to see multiple states that have a similar network. But also you could open it up in open it up multiple times. So for example, I wanted to open the Vic one here, then I could just click onto the next map and open the South Australian one on a different instance and just toggle between them. So it is possible to see the same map, to see a similar map, but not in one place at this point. I hope that's clear what I just said. I'm beginning to wonder if I say the same thing again and again. Yeah, so if I just wanted to open this one, for example, as an it would enable us to see this is where you can drive in South Australia and this is where you can drive in Victoria, and where the two kind of connect, toggling between the screens. Okay, if there aren't any other questions, I'm happy to finish that up now. If you do have any questions later down the line, please go and have a play. Try and find information that does work, find things that doesn't work for you, let us know. We are either via this the feedback here, or alternatively, I will just put a couple of email addresses in the chat. So the first is just our standard email address. The second is our spatial team, which is my team, which is where we will directly interact with the map. So let us know if there is any information, if you have any feedback at any point. Let us know via those two, yeah, we're as I say, looking to, this will go live on Wednesday, and then we'll be continuing to improve it into the new year.
Awesome. Thanks very much.
Excellent. Well, thank you all for coming today, and I will I'll send out this recording. There was a number who couldn't attend this, but I'll send out this recording to those as well. So if you if any of your colleagues would like it, I'm happy to send it to you as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for including us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.